Hey everyone, Igor here from Velo Orange, and today I'm going to be talking about making your bike more upright and comfortable. Every day we get lots of emails and phone calls asking a variety of questions, anything from what bottom bracket does my Peugeot U08 need to what fenders work best on my gravel bike. But the number one question we get is, I have this old road bike, I want to make it more comfortable for commuting and maybe even a weekend tour. So what do I need to make that happen? So I thought it'd be a good idea to go through a step-by-step on changing your drop bars to flat bars. So here's our subject bike. It's a 1990s Waterford road bike. It has a 1-inch threaded quill stem. It currently has the Velo Orange Nouveau Randonneur handlebars on it with aero brake levers and bar end shifters. Pretty typical setup. But I kind of felt that it was a little bit stale, so I want to change it up a little bit. Changing your bars is the easiest way to get a completely new feel for your ride. So if you change your bars, you'll change your life. And here's what we're going to be converting to. We're going to be using the Velo Orange Curvy bar. I really like this bar for converting road bikes to flat bars. It gives a really nice position without being overly upright. The Rustine's rubber grips, very cushy and come in a lot of fun colors. The Grand Cru brake levers in polished silver. These are really neat because they work with both 23 and 22/2 handlebars, which we'll get into in a bit. We also have some cables and housing. I'll do an inspection and evaluate what I need. I might be able to reuse some of it, but I won't know until I open it up. And some Shimano 9-speed flat bar shifters from my copious parts bin. And here are some of the tools that I'll be using. A hex wrench set, cable and housing cutter, and Phillips head screwdriver. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start unwrapping the bars and kind of evaluating the status and condition of the cables and housing. So after taking all the bar tape off and taped, I was securing the housing to the handlebars. The housing actually looks pretty good. I can definitely reuse it. The derailleur cables, I'll go ahead and replace. This one's starting to fray, and this one will likely be too short. All right, so let's get things taken off, and we'll go from there. So one thing you really have to be aware of is the difference between a road brake cable and a mountain brake cable. They're not interchangeable, so you want to make sure you're using the right one. So on the left here is the mountain style, which is what we're going to be using. And on the right is the road style. Okay, so we've removed all the handlebar tape and cables and housing from the drop handlebars. So now we're going to swap over to the new handlebars. And I suggest keeping the same stem that you had on there before. It's a really easy way to gauge whether or not you need to go forwards or backwards without having to spend extra money on a stem. The stem that I have on there already is a 31.8. And the bars are 31.8 as well. So no need for shims or anything like that. But if you're going to a 25.4 or a 26.0 stem, you will need some shims. And we have those available in both silver and black on the Velo Orange web store. So one dimension you do need to be aware of is the outer diameter of the grip area. 22.2 is the standard for most city and mountain components, and 23.8 is standard for road components. So you want to make sure you have shifters and brake levers and grips that are compatible with your handlebars. So in this case, we're going to be using 22.2 millimeter components. Okay, so now we're going to put the grips on. These are the Rustine's rubber grips. You really want to make sure you leave enough room at the end of the grip so that they slide on all the way. And for the Rustine's grips, you really want to use just water or soapy water to slide them on. Any sort of detergents will really prematurely degrade the rubber since it is natural. So in this case, we're just going to use some water. Just a little bit. Put some on the bars. And just slide them right on. It might take a little bit longer to dry, but leave them overnight and they'll dry out and they'll be stuck on there for a good while. So now we're going to run the housing for the rear brake. And we're going to put it up to the cable stop, kind of mock it up. See how much we need to cut off. Make sure that the handlebars can turn all the way. So we need to take off that much. Now that you've cut the housing, it'll likely be a little bit closed. So what we do is we take a pokey spoke. It's literally a spoke that I sharpen on a bench grinder, but you could really take anything like a needle or anything sharp like that. We're just going to put it in there, open that housing up a little bit so that you can pass the cable through all the way without introducing any friction. So here's the difference between traditional shift and brake housing. This one is shift, and you can see that it has wires going all the way linearly down the casing, and the brake is spiral wound throughout the whole length. So one common thing I like to do is kind of estimate where my hand is going to be. So right now these brakes and brake levers and shifters are a little too high up. They kind of want to be in line with your hand. So I'm going to kind of lower them down a little bit, and that feels a lot better. And then tighten them up. Yeah, that's much better. And repeat for the other side. And now we have the handlebars installed. We have the shifters installed, the brake levers installed, the grips installed. Everything's cabled up, housing is cut to the proper length. All we have to do now is take it for a road test. All right, first ride with the new handlebars. Let's give it a shot. All right, they feel good. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout at any time. And as always, happy riding.